What's up? This is Will. Welcome to Will's Wheel, where we don't reinvent the wheel to success. Today we have Pablo on the show, apprentice lineman, coming to share his story and some of his tips. Check it out.
Yeah, I grew up in Monrovia, California. I have 6 siblings, I believe. Some are deceased now. Grew up pretty, not your average normal person, I guess you could say. You know, I was caught up in some stuff, like around 11, 12, going to juvenile hall. At 14, I went to YA. Went in at 14, came home when I was 28.
What do you say were some of the critical moments in your childhood that kind of developed you into the person you are now?
My dad and mom are from Chile, from South America. And at that time, it was just me and 2 of my other brothers. My other siblings were still in Chile. There was one moment that I remember as a kid. My dad was talking to my mom. I noticed that the conversation was kind of heated, and my dad hung up, put his hands on his head, and actually started shedding some tears. That impacted me because I'd never seen my dad really ever show some type of emotion. And it made me look at him like in a different light, as far as in him just being like a hardcore dad, you know. And then also seeing him raise us, you know. He did a lot of it on his own. So I think that was really an impactful moment, seeing him show that type of emotion. He wasn't a man of too many words. He just basically proved it through his action.
Do you want to give us your take on transitioning from, say, the gang life, prison life, into what you do now?
Well, first off, bro, a lot of it's thanks to you, man. I met you at that class in Cal Poly. I was on parole at the time, almost 10 years now, something like that, you know. And, you know, I was at that class and you came and talked and spoke to us. And I don't even remember what you said, bro. Everything you said, though, lit a fire on me. And, you know, at that time, I was actually a laborer at the local 300 doing demolition, and I hated it. I hated that work. But I know when you spoke about the trade and where you came from, it was like an instant connection. At the time, I was just going with the flow. You know, I was just working, just generating money. You know, I was still on parole. I was still kind of on some knucklehead stuff, you know, just doing all that time in prison and being used to a certain way, like pretty much majority of my life, and still adapting to society out here and trying to be a productive citizen. Just thinking about that moment, you know, thinking that, man, this is what I want to do. And as I recall, actually, the next day I even went to apply to LA Trade Tech. At the time, it was just LA Trade Tech and East LA Skills Center. That was the only places that had line school available to me. I got into trade tech and enrolled into the math class, the hand tools class. I was still working at the same time. I had a baby with my kid's mom. So I was juggling with going to school and work and providing for my daughter. The transitioning from the street life to being where I am now, it's an ongoing thing, you know. Like I'm not out there like that no more, but every day I'm working on something. Every day I have goals. Every day I learn something new, and so I'd say it's always just an ongoing thing for me, man. And once I got up in the trade and I graduated from LA Trade Tech, you know, man, I was on it. I was on it.
When you first started, as far as with the trade tech, did you ever think to yourself, how long is this gonna take before you can actually start making money?
Yeah, definitely, man. Because you know, I felt that if I wasn't working, if I didn't have a kid, I could have banged all that out within like maybe 8, 9 months. But because of what I had going on, man, I only could do 1 class a semester. So it took me just about a year.
Okay.
Just about a year, bro.
Did it feel like a year?
Hell yeah. It did, man, because like I was working night shifts. I would go to night school, and then right after class, I'd go to work. Like, I had to work around that, man. And, you know, It's a sacrifice.
Can you go into the difference between local 47 and 1245? And what made you decide to start as a groundman up north?
The reason I went up north right away because as a groundman, you look at the books down here at 47, like I was gonna start off from scratch. So book threes, there were like probably like 500 people in just book three, and book one, probably 200-300 people on there. So there's too many people on that list. And up in 1245, there wasn't that many people. And the difference between 1245 and 47 obviously is like 1245. You got majority. They're not from Cali. They're not local hands. Once I signed the books, it took me about like 3 months to get a call. Also, one of the reasons why I went up there was because after I finished climbing class, my youngest daughter was born. There was a lot of, medical issues going on with her, and then honestly that kind of threw me off a little bit because it was a very trying time. So I kind of fell off, but then once I got back on it, I went straight up to 1245 and started doing, sorry that they had me doing. It was work, but it was for me to get to book one, to have some time under my belt, to get into the apprenticeship.
I know you just mentioned that you kind of lost focus when your daughter had her health issues. How did you refocus?
So, a lot of the stuff I learned from the streets, from prison, from YA, has taught me a lot. So I use a lot of the stuff like, all right, when you're on the street and, you got some issues you got to handle, like, you ain't gonna up about it, right? You're gonna go handle your business. And so that's something that has pushed me a lot, that I use towards something positive. When I fell off, I was hurt, I was going through it, but then once I started kind of like letting some of that go and accepting a lot of it, I started feeling like, man, I'm being a little coward right now. Like I need to get back up and get on it. And that's what I did, and also too, like, I know what I'm worth, and I know what I'm capable of. I learned a lot from it. And so that helped me get back on my feet, snap out of it, and get the ball rolling. Because like I said, the day I met you and what you said, that ignited something in me. And I knew this is what I want to do, and I had to do what I had to do to get it.
Since you started working up north, what kind of different perspectives has it given you just on life?
Man, honestly, man, it's life-changing, man, for me, because I don't really have any, I don't smoke, I don't drink that much, here and there, I don't do drugs. So that was never an issue for me. So going up north and being like up kind of like in the boonies, it kind of took me away from what I've been used to and what I've been around, and gave me that perspective to look kind of like from the outside in. And I've learned a lot for myself just about what I want to do. I actually found a lot of peace for myself, and I guess you would know what I'm talking about if you have that peace, And going up north and being away from everything, being away from my daughters, to some people it may sound selfish, but sometimes it's all right to be selfish, because you got to do you before you could do for anybody else. The way that I was still holding on to certain things that I shouldn't be holding on to, and I let go. And now, like, I'm just 100% in. You can't live, on both sides of the fences. So, and I made the choice to be on the right side of the fence. My advice would be, whether it's YA or prison, let that go. You gotta let that go, bro. Because if not, and you on that mentality, you might end up doing some stuff on the yard where it's gonna be yard down on me, and you don't want to do that. You gotta like check your pride and check yourself, man. Because if you can't do that, then you ain't ready. This trade won't be for you, and I don't think anything else would be. If you have any type of like substance abuse issues or even alcohol, like, you got to check that, man, because you don't want to come up in this trade with something like that. I think this trade would be a good thing, man, because you work a lot, your mind is going to be focused on work. That's one thing I noticed for myself being up north. We're doing a bunch of hours working every day, and I'm focusing on one thing, and it keeps you away from like sometimes drifting off to maybe BS that you shouldn't be.
What do you think the biggest misconception of the trade is?
For us minorities, right? You know, I heard so much about this trade about you know, white people this or white people that, right? And you know, and I'm gonna be honest, man. A lot of that, for me personally, comes from being where I came from. You know, from being in prison and YA, and so you kind of go in with a mentality thinking, oh, these people ain't gonna like me, or you hear what about this trade? Oh, it's a white man's trade or something like that. And you know what? It's not even like that, man. You go in with a good attitude. As far as for me personally, I haven't experienced any of that. And I could say today that I've had a lot of people, you know, outside my skin color, you will, that are white, that are Asian, that are black or whatever, that have genuinely helped me. That to this day, they call me like, hey, Pablo, like, how you doing? Like, how's your apprenticeship going? How's your family? You know, the homies in Nevada, they ain't doing that. I mean, you're gonna get everywhere you go. It doesn't matter, but it's how you conduct yourself. I've made so many connections in this trade. Man, if it wasn't for this trade, we probably would have never met.
What's some of the craziest things you've encountered since you've been in the trade?
Oh man. Oh, I know one. Like we were at work. I was because I did a lot of work in Humboldt County. So I remember one time we walked up. This was before I even knew about this Murder Mountain crap. We go up in I guess it was Murder Mountain, and you know, you off the grid, and we walked in. It was like a forest of weed, man, weed plants. And you know, and I'm with all these guys they're all white, right? So we go up, we gotta go do some stuff on this pole, and we had to walk through this forest of weed. The next thing you know, these guys come on a side-by-side, AKs, AR-15, and they spoke Spanish. And they're like, in Spanish, they're asking them like, hey, what the hell are you guys doing here? And then all them look at me, and I'm over here looking up at the sky, looking for birds, because I didn't want to be involved. And I was like, hey, what's up? You know, because I speak Spanish. And they basically told us like, look, if you guys gonna be on our property, don't take out your phones, don't do none of that, you know. And they meant business, because over there you could just easily disappear. So I had to translate to the guys, to the fellas, like, hey, look, man, it ain't worth our lives. Let's just get in and get out. Don't touch nothing. And that was a pretty crazy experience, man. Cause they rolled up on us. I mean, and we were like, "What's up, man?"
You've been a groundman a total of how many years before you went on to become an apprentice?
About 3 years. It was kind of hard, man, because so the process, you know, they ask for, you know, your school records and your birth certificate. They ask for all this stuff, man, and you know, with the apprenticeship out here, Cal Nev, everybody wants to come out here because they pay the most, but it's hard to get in. It took me some time, man, because when I finished trade school and I lost focus, you know, with the stuff that was going on personally with my daughter, I didn't get my Class A right away. And obviously you need a Class A license. So I went up as a groundman, got my hours, and then took time off to get my Class A. So that's why I was a groundman longer than maybe other people before they got into apprenticeship. But it was a good thing because I've learned so much more. But you know, the process of filling out an application, doing stuff online, you know, a lot of that was new to me. My education basically stopped at 6th grade. When I went to school, it was either in juvenile hall, CYA, or in prison. I got my GED in Corcoran, and I needed official document, so I had to send that in. And then, you know, they didn't believe it. They asked one of the questions, when was your last grade of completion or something like that? And I think I put 6th grade, and they were like, how was it 6th grade? It was hard, bro, because, you know, I thought my past was really irrelevant, but then it did become relevant. I never thought in my life that I would have to prove why I did so much time. The people that are asking these questions, they ain't never been around nothing like that, you know. And maybe they never met people like us. You know what I'm saying?
No, definitely.
So,
Because that reminds me of my story. So when I first went in to do my interview, I went in with my pictures, my folders. I passed it out to all the guys on the interview panel. You know, I'm sitting in there with my work attire on, boots on, ready to go. And I'm doing my whole spiel. And one of the guys was like, yeah, all this is good, man. What you been doing the last couple years, though, before this? And I was like, man, I was in prison for attempted murder.
Yeah.
And they all just, that was the only time during the interview they actually listened to me and looked at me.
Yeah.
And I told them, I was just like, man, everything I went through there, you know, got me ready for where I am right now. Gave me the strength and the fortitude to get to this point and make it through. You know, and that's what actually, to me, got me pushed through to the trade. You know, I got immediate indentured. I didn't have to wait. And that was like a miracle within itself, you know, when I got that letter. So, no, I feel you, because that's the same attitude I have. It's like, well, man, what my past got to do with what I'm doing now? Like, that was my past. I did that in my youth, you know. And, no, so definitely, man, I feel you on that. And that's one of the reasons why I wanted to develop this channel for people like us, people just going through a struggle, just trying to get together to know, hey, man, it's people like us, real people out here. You can make it. It don't matter what you've been through, your past, you can overcome it and still be successful and get a career. So we got people listening right now, just green to the trades. Can you explain what a Class A license is?
Well, yeah, you obviously, you gotta learn how to drive stick. that's the number one. We didn't have that in the hood, you know. Yeah. We didn't have to drive stick or whatever. And so I had to learn all that, you know. So I had to go to a truck driving school. Actually, you recommended to me. It worked out great for me because it wasn't that many people. And, you know, I would show up early before anybody because it was nerve-wracking for me to get up in that truck and move it and like do certain maneuvers that the DMV is going to require you to do in order to pass your Class A license.
You ever get discouraged while you were trying to learn?
Hell yeah. Bro, it took me like a month just to go forward because I couldn't back the trailer straight. It was discouraging, man, because, you know, I'm taking this time off. So it's like, I'm not generating any income, but I knew that I needed this Class A to become an apprentice, and I had to do it. And then again, the past and what we've been through kicked in. Like, man, you better stop being that way. Honestly, I feel that there ain't nothing that can be put in front of me that I can't get over. That is something that I've learned from being in there. And from my dad, because my dad did it. Growing up, I don't remember seeing any of my friends that had just a dad, you know. They either had just mom or both parents. So that actually pushed me a lot because of the example my dad showed. I always used that as motivation. It took me a minute. When I did the Class A, the test and all of that, I don't know who that lady was, but man, God bless her, because she passed me, and you know, and it was kind of suspect, but I got it, you know. And then once you got the Class A, just keep in mind, when you get up in the trade, you're gonna be asked to maybe drive a stick shift semi, you know, and you're gonna be hauling a big old pole or something, and that's intimidating. I've had to do that. But I've always kept it real. Anywhere I go, I was like, hey, look, man, I ain't this good at it, so I'm letting you know. That's one thing. You always got to keep it real, especially in this trade. Ain't no reason to lie, and don't do nothing you're not comfortable with. Speak up, because you get up in something like that, and it can cost you your life. I've been in this trade, and I already know probably more than a handful of people that have passed away at work, at home from suicide, you know. So there's a lot that goes on, you know. It could cost you your life. So yeah, this trade's beautiful. This, you know, you make your money, but it's serious.
What step are you in the apprenticeship? Can you explain that to the viewer?
So the apprenticeship is consists of 7 steps. And every 6 months you step. You know, if you got to do your homework, and it's a lot of homework, and it's all online. There's class where you come in and you take tests on that homework, the subject, and then you take an actual step 1 test in order for you to step to step 2, and then so on and so forth. And then when you become a 4th step, you're a hot apprentice. So now you can work on hot stuff, meaning live. They expect more from you, you know. And obviously every step that you go, your pay goes up. If you're able to go through that apprenticeship without getting hurt, without having any like hiccups, I mean, you can complete it within 3.5 years and then become that lineman. It just depends on you as a person, how long this apprenticeship's gonna be, you know. Lines, channel locks, screwdriver, flathead, hammer. As far as an apprentice, man, I got everything. I got my money gun, I got my sawzall, 2 sets of everything, 2 sets of clines, 2 sets of channel locks, 2 sets of screwdrivers, 2 sets of hammer, a wrench. I mean, I could go on and on about tools, but once you're in it, you're gonna see along the way. It's like maybe you'll need it because it's gonna work for you. You go Home Depot, obviously Home Depot got it all. I got a lot of my stuff online from like Amazon. Look up online, look up Buckingham, look up Gelco, you know, Bashland. And after you're done from climbing school, go to one of those places, Bashland, Buckingham, look them up and go get fitted. Just go to climbing school. Because you need that experience, man. Depending on some of the guys you end up working with, even as a first step, they're gonna want you to climb. But you want to know what the hell you're doing. Man, this is serious business. You do something stupid, you're going to get hurt. It's honestly, the main thing, and I kind of touched up on it, is letting go of that pride, man. Because I know a lot of us are prideful, especially from where we come from. I'm not entitled to nothing. Just because I've been in the trade whatever amount of time or who I know, that don't mean nothing. You know, you go in and you're going to learn. You want to learn. And me, I'm 37 years old. I worked for GFs that are younger than me. A lot of times I'm on crews. I'm the oldest one. If they know what they're talking about and they have that experience, like I'm all ears. Age, race, that don't matter, because this is what you want to do, and all that is not even important. It doesn't matter.
But thanks, Pablo, for coming out and shedding some light, man, for our viewers and our young people. Appreciate it, man.
Nah, you're welcome, man.
Cool.